Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. A wonderful day to all of you. Welcome to the Institute of Global Professionals. Thank you for joining us for another live session of free international webinar here in IGP. My lovely audience, I am Marbeth from the Philippines and I am honored to be your host of the day. I am so glad to be with you once again in this virtual world. If there is a thing that we should be thankful about during the pandemic period, I think it's the opportunity that it provides for all of us to convene virtually in this international free webinar brought to us by the Institute of Global Professionals, or IGP. I hope that everyone will stay with us until the end of the program because we have a lot of things in store for you today. Here in IGP webinars, you do not just listen to our speakers, but we encourage your participation through our quiz competition and the Q&A part of the program. In our quiz competition, the top 10 participants will receive the quiz completion certificate that is right after the event. This will be posted in IGP's Facebook page, then it will be available for you to download. And it will be followed by the Q&A part where everyone will have the opportunity to interact with our speaker by sending in your question in the comment section below. During the live program, there will be questions pop up on your screen. This will allow you to interact or share your opinion about the topic being discussed or the topic that has been discussed in the previous session. Just simply send your idea in the comment section. Every day during our live session, we award certificate of lifetime membership to the most active and consistent participant. So, what are you waiting for? Share our live event to your friends and to your community. Write your comments and feedback in the comment section. Who knows? You could be the next recipient of IGP's Certificate of Lifetime Membership. Also, in the latter part of the program, we will give you the certification code together with the certification process on how you can generate or auto-download your e-certificate. With this, everybody is encouraged to stay with us until the end of the program because lots of exciting things awaits us today. I am sure all of us will have many takeaways and payoffs from this webinar, only from IGP. I'm proud to tell you that every day many new participants are joining with us. And to the new participants, I would like to welcome you to the IGP family. With this, I am compelled to give you a little background about IGP. The Institute of Global Professionals is an educational institution which provides social work. We believe that it is not effective to increase one's skill by just acquiring formal education. So we provide training and consultation to generate a proficient generation through webinars, trainings, offline and online courses with the best speakers and highly trained coaches from around the globe so that we can cater you with the best learning platform. I'm proud to inform you that IGP is an ISO certified training and education institute. We are internationally recognized and globally accredited. IGP is your trusted platform to learn new things from the global leading leaders. We are the leading online skill development institution with thousands of learners worldwide. Our mission is to empower people and enhance their skills through webinars. Most importantly, we are committed to serve. IGP is bringing the community of professionals to grow together and learn from each other. Here in IGP, learning never stops. We wish that you remain with us in this endeavor. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to the Institute of Global Professionals Free International Webinar. Once again, I am Marbeth, a core volunteer of IGP from the Philippines, and I am so privileged to host today's webinar. With this, I would like to say let's watch together and learn together. We believe that the power is gained by sharing knowledge, not by hoarding it. And did you know that as of yesterday, we have already successfully completed 356 webinars in various topics of your interest? All of these are available in our website, that is www.eduigp.com. Again, that is www.eduigp.com. feel free to access them anytime. You may also check all recorded webinars anytime on our Facebook page and Facebook group and also the YouTube channel. We expect that all of you are getting a little bit benefited both in your personal and professional life. From time to time, you may like, share, tag your friends, and write comments. Share us how you feel about IGP and what you think about IGP. You may also share to us how IGP is being helpful to you both in your personal and professional development. And also, don't hesitate to ask questions or write feedback. You may also give suggestions that will help us innovate the program in the comment section below. All of this will be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our Facebook page, Facebook group, and YouTube channel. Make sure to click the bell button below to be notified with our live streaming every day. Please support us by spreading the news about IGP's free international webinar to your friends and to your community. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Before proceeding to our program, allow me to greet just few participants that are with us today. So I would like to congratulate Alex Javier Alvarez for being our early bird and also Evelyn Waperi. Thank you so much for being so early every time we have our live show. And also to Farah Joy Aguilar, Piria, and G. Naik Aurea Bonitas. Hello. I'm Itria Garcia, Josephine Nandoy, and also to Jobe Cebu, Cortez Yobel. Hello, everyone. Ginalyn Villar, hello. Greetings to all the active and consistent participants of our of IGP's daily webinar. Happy watching, everyone. And without further ado, let's start the program with the IGP's mantra: Feed your skills, innovate, inspire, impact. For today, we are presenting webinar number 364 on ICT in education in the post-COVID scenario. And today we are very much privileged to have with us a very able and eminent speaker from India. I would like to welcome on screen our speaker for today, none other than Associate Professor Dr. K.J. Varghese from India. Did I pronounce your name correctly, sir?
Yeah, I'm Varghese. Varghese.
Varghese.
Yes.
Okay, Varghese. I was not able to ask you earlier about
Uh,
that. So welcome to the show, Sir Professor Varghese. Welcome to IGP. Before
thank you.
proceeding on to your presentation, you might probably want to say something about yourself.
Okay, I'm an associate professor of English at Christ College, Irinyalakuda, that's in Kerala. Ours is a southernmost part of India, and I've been into teaching for the last 26 years, and my PhD or my doctorate in use of ICT, information and communication technology, in language education and education in general. See, of course, I've presented papers and in national and international conferences, and I've also published papers in international journals. I'm also a consultant of Language Lab, which I may be mentioning. Okay, Language Lab, especially to enhance your skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. We have Language Labs available, and I'm a consultant of Language Lab. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
That's great to hear, sir. Well, I think the floor is yours. You may start sharing your screen.
Yes.
Yes, I can see it now, but can you please put it in presentation mode?
But if I put it in the presentation mode, it seems it's not moving. So I think we'll go like this. That would be better because
Okay.
I've tried putting it in the presentation mode, and since I have a shared tab, it's not
Okay.
often working. That's it. So I think it's fine. If you want, you can just zoom the slide which I am showing so that it would be easy if it's possible. Other,
Okay, sir.
okay. The same is with Google Meet too. Okay then, but other platforms are okay like Zoom and many other platforms. So thank you for that introduction, and I wish all the best for IGP, International I mean, Institute of Global Professionals, who are doing a wonderful job of showcasing so many presenters on different topics to the attendees. So I wish everyone a very good evening. Now, my topic for the day is ICT in education in the post COVID scenario. And I would be presenting something very general about the use of ICT and why ICT in education, why of ICT in education, why of media in education, and also how we can benefit maximum from ICT, information and communication technologies. Because almost all agencies, not only in India but all over the world, was trying to incorporate the latest technologies and information communication technologies into our teaching learning process. But the pace was little slow as far as India is concerned and the whole world is concerned because of various reasons. For example, the students were digital natives, whereas most of the teachers were digital immigrants. So that lag, that difference was there. But then it was in fact the pandemic, COVID, which accelerated the use of information and communication technologies in teaching learning process. So that's why I've chosen the topic use of ICT in education in the post-COVID scenario. So when we speak of ICTs, what exactly is ICT? Because this term is quite familiar to us and we have been hearing for a very long time. But what exactly is ICT? And I would say ICT is the technologies, the tools that we use for retrieving, transmitting, storing, creating, processing, collaborating, communicating, displaying, and receiving information. So here, these are, you can see on the screen, a lot of different applications, websites, and tools which we use for retrieving information, transmitting information, storing information, creating information, processing information, collaborating, communicating, and displaying and receiving information. So these are the ICTs that we use especially for all the purpose. And let me tell you, it's not just for education. The latest communication and information technologies are often used in such a way. See, for example, one second. Yeah. So here, what happens really is what exactly is ICT? So these all these different technologies and the websites and for storing, retrieving, transmitting, storing, and creating, collaborating, uh, continuing and receiving information. So I think many of us are familiar with this. But what exactly? So that is ICT. And education, as you all know, is the process of facilitating learning or the acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, beliefs, and habits. And when we think of good education, it equips us as competent participants on the path of lifelong learning. A good education goes beyond the accumulation of facts and the acquisition of skills to help us learn how to learn. So, learning or education would be learning how to learn. And a good education is not an end in itself; it's a starting point. So, it is quite clear when we think of this how ICTs or the latest technologies can be effectively incorporated into our teaching learning process so that we both the stakeholders All the stakeholders, especially teachers and students, often benefit maximum. And if I were to think, or if we were to think, what exactly is ICT in education? ICT in education. Okay, so ICT in education. See, when we think of education, basically we think of teaching learning process, then assessment process, professional development, and administration. So, see, uh, teaching learning process as far as through ICT is of course creating the content and delivering the content. And as you can see on the screen, we use a lot of different technologies for creating the content, and we use a lot of technologies for delivering the content, and both are equally important. And for assessment, we have a lot of tools. I mean, latest ICT tools and applications which can be effectively used to assess the student. And for professional development, say we are on a webinar now, okay, and naturally there are a lot of programs now which come online, and also both in the synchronous and asynchronous mode, and we attend for our professional development. And then, of course, administration. We might have automated offices, automated student, teacher, parent. So altogether, we have teaching, learning, assessment, professional development, and administration. So we can use ICTs, especially the latest ICTs for teaching, learning process, for assessment process, professional development, and administration. So together, when this is the concept when we speak of ICT in education. And here, before we go to the latest ICTs, let's discuss some basic concepts about how we learn, and that would better equip us, and it will better explain how to use the latest ICTs for our teaching learning process. And I also recommend a kind of blended learning, not 100% online learning, but instead, even in the classroom, we can use these latest ICTs for our teaching learning process. It is said that we learn 1% through taste, 1.5 through touch, 3.5 through smell, 11% through hearing, and 83% through sight. And it's quite relevant that we use maximum our senses, or learning through maximum stimulus, so that we get maximum learning possible. And then how we remember. Okay, we said that we remember 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, 50% of what we see and hear, 80% of what we say, and 90% of what we say and do. So this is to tell us how effectively latest technologies can be used to maximize our learning. Now, we all know we are in the phase of information revolution, or industrial revolution 4.0. And what exactly is the impact of information revolution? See, there is a metamorphosis. How do we? Why should we see this? Because, in fact, I went to, or I entered this research after reading a book titled "Children's Machine," written by William Papert. And there, William Papert speaks of three groups of professionals traveling 100 years into future to see things how things have changed with their professions. And they are surgeons, medical surgeons, bankers, and teachers. Medical surgeons, okay, they lived here 100 years back. After coming here, after traveling 100 years into future, they are now here, and they entered the operating room or the operation theater, and they were quite wonderstruck or embarrassed to see all electronic gadgets. They said, we can't do anything. And the bankers, they were in a way, embarrassed and wonderstruck as they were traveling, because they saw people collecting money from the roadside, the ATM. So naturally, when it comes to teachers, okay, And when they entered the classroom, they were quite comfortable. The same desk, the same benches, the blackboard might have changed into a whiteboard or green board. And let me remind you, blackboard, chalk and board is considered to be the first technology in the classroom, and it has been changed into white or green board. So for them, it was not that difficult. So this is to show that, especially in education, now things have changed, especially with the pandemic, with the COVID, I mean, Corona or COVID-19 pandemic, we have moved into a digitalization of education, or a digital transformation of education has taken place in the true sense, and this is going to stay. Okay, now we are, of course, we are entering from the new normal to the normal one. In the new normal, we have been using all these different gadgets profusely, and now we are slowly becoming normal. But I'm sure that this is going to stay. We'll be incorporating all these different technologies and blend, and we'll be offering a kind of blended learning environment for our students. So the impact of revolution, what exactly is the impact of information revolution? Metamorphosis. That's why in all walks of life there is big changes happening. Metamorphosis of new processes and practices in all spheres of human enterprise. Then the second one, revolutionized human interactions across the world and the emergence of global village. That's why I can sit in my own home and address the whole world. Okay. And of course, facilitated by IGP. So here, has revolutionized human interactions across the world, and the whole world has shrunk into a global village. That is the scenario. And what exactly are the educational implications of this information era? Tremendous challenges to teachers. It offers a lot of challenges to teachers, and my request is the teachers should make use of these challenges or turn them into opportunities. And I think most of the teachers have done it, especially during the time of pandemic, when schools were closed, when we need to practice social distancing. Tremendous challenges to teachers, and they are to rethink the basic tenets, the basic beliefs, the basic concepts about teaching. And let me tell you, it's not that easy or to change as far as teachers are concerned, but to rethink their basic tenets. And we are sure that it's not enough. The senior teachers would be might have understood that we cannot teach our students the way we were taught. So, to rethink the basic tenets, to deploy technology in creative and productive ways. There's something very important. And I stress that fact. The technologies there is in plenty, but we have to use them in creative and productive ways in our teaching learning process. To restructure education to respond progressively and constructively to the social and technological changes. A lot of changes are happening. Technology is changing in a fast pace. So we need to, employ, restructure education to respond progressively and constructively to the social and technological changes. So two questions are equally important. Number one, how can we use ICTs in education, and what should be our classroom in the information era? Both these questions are equally important. Now, let's see the influence of COVID on education now. See, there are the positive outlook, and of course, there is a negative influence also. But the positive outlook first, opening new avenues in the field of education. A lot of new avenues. If the COVID-19 pandemic was not affected, or it didn't affect the world, many of these avenues may not be opened before educationalists. So a lot of new venues in the field of education has been opened because of COVID-19, paving way for learning new resources. And we have learned a lot of new resources as far as education or teaching learning is concerned because of COVID-19, giving an opportunity to experience new technology interventions. And we have experienced a lot of new technology interventions because of this. pandemic, enabling learning of new skill set. And I'm sure most of the teachers and students might have learned a lot of new skill sets to cope up with the pandemic situation, reinforcing the need for continuous learning. So it's not like, say, learning maybe for 20, 25 years, then working, then leisure. The modern concept is you at the same time learn, you work, you enjoy. So, reinforcing the need for continuous learning, which is needed both for teachers and students, and creating a totally new education vertical. So that is, of course, the positive outlook of COVID times. But at the same time, negative influences are many. Closure of institutions. Institutions remain closed for a very long time, almost 2 years. Increasing the compulsive use of electronic devices, whether you like it or not, whether you are have an aptitude or not, you are compelled to use electronic devices, because in order to reach your students or educationists have to use it, because teaching is often said to be reaching to, so you have to reach the students. Then effect on general well-being. See, we had a lot of deaths, a lot of what we call problems associated with the pandemic. So it has a negative effect on general well-being. Social disengagement. See, we were not allowed to go out. The classes were, I mean, the colleges were closed. So there was, in fact, the social disengagement in the physical sense, denial of extracurricular activities, exposure and experience was also limited. Teacher-student disconnect was much there, especially in the developing countries. Challenges in sustaining relationship, and then creating a sense of insecurity and uncertainty. All were in the air, a lot of negative influences. But let's what I call very positively approach the positive outlook, the positive influences. And the student perceptions and reasons for disengagement is also relevant at this point of time. Ineffectiveness of virtual classrooms and learning outcomes. See, in the beginning, okay, now the students and teachers might have come across a time when it could have been done quite well. So, ineffectiveness of virtual classrooms, and that was basically because of the teacher taught mindset. Both teachers and students thought or had the mindset that teaching learning process can take place only in the classroom. Okay, but and even the concept of a teacher, I mean teaching. See, earlier, maybe years back, a good teacher may be a person who is committed, 100% dedicated, in that sense that a person who thinks four walls of the classroom his world. Okay, four walls of this classroom is world, such a committed, dedicated teacher. But let me tell you, in the information era, in the industrial revolution 4.0, a good teacher is a person who can bring world into the classroom. A good teacher is a person who can bring world into the classroom. And how can you bring world into the classroom? Through latest technologies. So then, of course, there are limitations in interactions. People complain of limitations in interactions, absence of community feeling and class atmosphere is also there, sense of isolation is there, then unconducive home environment, that's something very important, okay, especially in most developing countries. A lot of challenges, technological glitches, bandwidth problems, laptop desktop capability problems, inadequacy of resource problems, so many. Okay, requirement of more than one laptop, weather, I mean, especially when we go online, weather matter a lot, then power situation, everything. So a lot of challenges. Lack of individual attention, teacher learner responsiveness is also limited. Computer fatigue and the content conflict, especially when content comes through screen one after another, there is every chance for content conflict and computer fatigue. So, and how can we address these student concerns, especially in an online teaching learning scenario? Or especially when it is 100%. See, for a very long time, we were reaching our students through these gadgets. The first thing to do is to prepare students for the change they will undergo by induction programs. Okay, we used to have such programs, induction programs, where students and teachers and tell and instruct them how to go about, how to face the situation. Do not force, compel, or pressurize by overloading academic sessions. Then readjust the pace of teaching, something very important. The pace of the teaching should be slow when compared to our physical classrooms, offline classrooms. Create student familiarity by facilitating face-to-face online ice-breaking sessions, which will be very helpful for the students who find it difficult to cope up with the situation. It is also needed for teachers. If need be, shorten class duration. Give extended breaks in between, something very important. Okay, 1 hour class, maybe in the physical classroom, should be reduced to some 40 minutes or 30 minutes class so that students get enough breaks, enough time to relax before he or she enters the other classroom. To clear inhibitions and anxiety, create small group mentorship. See, you can use the lot like WhatsApp or Messenger or Telegram for these short term or mentorship sessions. Use of social media like WhatsApp, as I said, for informal interactions and enhance the faculty role in the classroom from fire and forget to guide and mentor. Something very important. The faculty role should change from fire and forget to guide and mentor, because gone are the days when we used to say teachers are sages on the stage, sages on the stage. But now a teacher should be a guide on the side, a facilitator, especially in an ICT classroom. So, what exactly are the impact of ICT on teaching learning process? See, in quite a short period of time, ICT has had marked effect on teaching and learning. And we all know we are using it profusely. And the use of ICT in classrooms is bringing about change in the way teachers teach and how the students learn. So then it has to change. That is the paradigm shift that I am talking of. The way teachers teach and the way students learn are entirely different in an ICT facilitated classroom. Teachers' role should change with the implementation of latest information and communication technologies in the classroom, and there should also be change in the approach of students. And let's see what exactly are the changes that should come over. One is a knowledge transmitter, a shift from, see, in the traditional classrooms, in the face-to-face classrooms, mostly, teacher is a knowledge transmitter, a primary source of information. But in a ICT classroom, teacher is a learning facilitator, a collaborator, a coach, a knowledge navigator, and a co-learner. This is a big shift that would come from a knowledge transmitter to a learning facilitator, a collaborator, a coach. See, teachers often dwell only on the thinking domain, but when one is assigned to be a coach, he has to dwell not only on the thinking domain, the cognitive domain, but also on the affective domain and also the psychomotor domain. And he has to be, or he or she has to be, a co-learner. So that is a teacher. And what about student? Teacher controlling the and directing all aspects of learning, often, excuse me, often in a scenario where traditional classroom is enforced or the physical classroom is enforced. Teacher, it is teacher centered, 100% teacher centered. But an ICT classroom can very well be changed into a student-centered classroom where teacher gives more responsibilities, more options to the students, yeah, for their own learning. And we can create our students or create a group of students who are self-motivated, self-regulated students. Okay, and that can be easily done. In fact, when we use blended learning, when we use this kind of latest technologies in our classrooms, so naturally, see, and they are digital natives. They are quite good in using all these technologies, sometimes better than teachers. So they are, in a way, made self-motivated, self-regulated students. More so, student-centered learning constructivist learning patterns are quite easy with our students. Now, this is a paradigm shift. The duty of the teacher is to introduce. See, the teacher is here. Okay, he was at the center in the traditional classroom, but in a blended learning situation in an ICT classroom, instructor is one of the sources of information, and it is the duty of the teacher to introduce all these different sources of information for other help of for the benefit of our students. And then naturally a question would be asked whether teachers can be replaced. A teacher can be replaced by technology. But let me tell you, no. We need that emotional human touch. A teacher can never be replaced by technology. But let me tell you, a teacher who knows technology may replace a teacher who doesn't know technology. That's a warning for people who are not ready to take up or use latest ICTs into our teaching learning process. And ICT in itself cannot do anything. But in the hands of a inspiring good teacher, it can work miracles. So it's our duty as educators and teachers to use, and it's the duty of the students to use latest technologies for the benefit of their learning purpose. Now, and this is a kind of classroom, a thought of classroom in the new blended learning or flipped classroom. See, in the traditional classroom, what happens is in the classroom, often we take care of remembering and understanding. This is Bloom's taxonomy. And in the classroom, most teachers and students spend time on remembering and understanding. But the higher cognitive levels like applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating, to a certain extent, it happens later. It happens on a later stage, and often it happens outside the classroom. Sometimes it doesn't happen at all. So this is the traditional classroom. But when we go to the new normal classroom or the flipped classroom, naturally out of the classroom remembering and understanding takes place, because we can have all what happened in the classroom online or offline. Both synchronous and asynchronous methods can be used for making the student remember and understand. And the time that we get in the classroom should be utilized for applying, analyzing, then evaluating and creating something very important in the classroom. Bloom's taxonomy, especially in the classroom, see applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating should happen inside the classroom. We should spend more time, and other things, the lower cognitive like remembering and understanding can happen in a way outside the classroom through the online method. So this is one of the greatest advantages of using technology for flipped classrooms and blended learning, where a holistic learning is possible. Now, the question remains whether everyone is equipped. Both teachers and students are equipped to take up these latest technologies in our teaching learning process. See, we we often say, I don't know whether you've heard of this. Many of you might have heard technological pedagogical content knowledge, that is TPAC. And the content knowledge is there for all educators, because the CK, because we study before and we have to qualify through different examinations, different programs. So content knowledge will be there. And pedagogical knowledge, we also attend educational courses and education programs. So with that we get the pedagogical knowledge. So content knowledge is of course what to teach, and pedagogical knowledge is how to teach. Then, in the new normal or in the information industrial revolution 4.0 situation, technological knowledge also matters. So when these three knowledges, when these three knowledge, they happily combine, okay, we have the TPAC, technological pedagogical content knowledge, and the teacher can be said 100% equipped to be an educator in the industrial revolution 4.0 situation, or the I mean, the pandemic or the new normal situation. And as I said, this is going to stay. Even when we turn to normal, I'm sure what we have experienced, both the teachers and students are going to use it. So these are going to stay. So the upcoming educators should see that technological, pedagogical content knowledge, TPEC knowledge is taken care of to become an educator. And see, this is the situation of an educator. So once you return home, skill sets for 21st century. Okay, building a new paradigm. So skill sets for 21st century will have to be acquired by the educator. Building a new paradigm. You need to, create a new paradigm, a big paradigm shift with which is centered around technology, because the students, let me tell you, the students are digital natives. They'll be very comfortable with the latest technologies applied into their teaching learning process. That will of course enhance. See, our students mostly are multitaskers. The young students of these days are multitaskers. They can do one or two or three things at the same time. But what happened to them is their attention span is short. Since the attention span is short, you will have to use, or we will have to use, these kind of latest technologies to bring them to the classroom to get maximum attention. So building new paradigm, web access, very much needed. Creative, of course, publishing, information management, thinking pedagogy, a learning environment. So we need to create a learning environment for the students. So this would be a new educator. But it doesn't matter how many resources you have. Big question. Okay. Doesn't matter how many resources you have. If you don't know how to use them, okay, if you don't know how to use them, it will never be enough. This is something, it's a point, especially sometimes we people are been carried away by a lot of resources. I see many teachers and educators running after a lot of tools, and they haven't mastered anything. So sometimes the situation, especially if you are not careful, would be like this. It doesn't matter how many resources you have. If you don't know how to use them, it will never be enough. So it's better that we understand our own subject that we teach, and then select a few tools and applications which we can very effectively use in our classrooms for the benefit of students. Running after too many tools would be something like this. Okay, so it doesn't matter how many resources you have. And now, that's why I would like to tell you, especially using technology successfully in the classroom is a mindset, not a skill set. It's a mindset. And let me tell you, it's not a skill set. And if you have this mindset, I'm sure the skill set will follow without doubt. So I used to say, I mean, ICT in education is not software or hardware, it is the human way. And what exactly is humanware? Humanware is the ability of the teacher to plan, to organize his or her classes around the available technologies. That is, in fact, the human way. So, what we need to have is a mindset to use, technology in our classrooms, and the skill set will naturally follow. So it's the mindset. That's why it's a human way. It's not hardware, it's not software. And we have hardware and software in plenty, but the human wear matters. The human wear, I repeat, is the ability of a teacher to plan, organize these latest technologies for the right pedagogical processes and for the benefit of our students. So, mindset is very important. And as I wind up, the question, who have you become during COVID 19? This is something very important, and I think we should all should be introspective. See, in the beginning, now things have changed a lot, but in the beginning, almost 50% all over the world were really afraid. Yes, they know what's going to happen, and you might have seen grabbing toilet papers, especially in European countries. We have seen grabbing toilet papers and hiding them. So, and then complain about having to sit on your ass, saying that you have nothing to do. You cannot go out. You cannot socialize with people, so you have nothing to do. And we are grumbling. And I mean, often grumbling is this over yet. Sleep until 12 to 14 hours. Not now. Now things are slowly becoming normal. But there was a time when we had a lot of time, maybe sleeping for 12 to 14 hours, saying that we have nothing to do. So almost 50% were like this, right? See, but we have come across so many things. But 40%, let me tell you, have entered the learning zone. Use the time to learn new things. That's why now we know how to reach our students. We have both synchronous and asynchronous mode of communication. Synchronous, is a live mode. See, at present with StreamYard or Zoom or Google Meet, etc., we are communicating on live classes, live programs. But you need to be live on either side. But then we have the asynchronous mode of communicating, as sometimes Microsoft Teams, Google Classroom, and many. Okay, even WhatsApp, to a certain extent, we can very well say they are asynchronous mode. And if we can combine these synchronous and asynchronous modes judicially in our teaching learning process, pandemic, we know, was not a problem. Use the time to learn new things. We have learned a lot. Find the ways to stay productive even during the time of pandemic. Many have stayed productive through these kind of programs, as I said, professional development, because we could take classes from all over the world, and it was quite easy, right? Give up what you can't control. That's it. Often when the pandemic strikes, what we can do is, of course, masking, hmm, keeping social distancing, sanitizing. That's all. No use complaining about it. Huh? So give up what you cannot control. Take action with our extra time. We have extra time. Try to take action. Okay. Try to be, maybe now in India we have almost all schools are open and everything is done in full swing. See, live in the present, not in the future. Don't worry about future. Don't worry about what we cannot control. Live in the present and work hard. So 40% were working very hard, okay, to build their career, to build their life. But 10%, let me tell you, had already entered the growth zone. So the afraid zone, learning zone, and the growth zone. And what these people were doing, and they should be the models for every educator, every student. Plant the seed for something amazing. See, something amazing is going to come, and plant the seed for that. Identify this time as potentially life altering, life changing. The 10% could do that, and they highly benefited the COVID times, I should say, the new normal. Use the time to build something that will have value for the best of your life, something that will have value for the rest of your life. You can, build something, become mentally tough, something. Because you need to be mentally tough. We in a way are not in a position, what do you call, to do this certain things which are beyond our control. Become mentally tough. Become great at time management. Something very important. Develop a major skill set. We have a lot of course, and as I said, if you have the mindset, naturally the skill set will slowly follow. So develop a major skill set. Change your life and work smart. When 40% in the learning serve were working hard, 10% in the growth serve were working smart. So, working hard, we all need, we should also work smart. Smart work, especially using the latest technologies, ICTs, will bring a lot of benefits both for students and teachers. So we have a lot of opportunities. We have a lot of different variety of ICTs, or information and communication technologies, which can be effectively used in our teaching learning process. So work smart. Rather than working hard, we have to work smart. And see, this is a graphical representation. One needs to work, one need to do smart work rather than hard work. See, gone are the days of okay, hard work, because this story, I think you are all familiar. A crow finding or seeing a pot half filled with water, and thirsty crow, the story of thirsty crow. He picks stones, put them into the pot, and then naturally the water level comes rises. It brings water. But we have, this is time for smart work. We have the latest ICTs, information and communication technologies, latest technologies which can be effectively used to benefit uh, to benefit our teaching learning process. Okay, and our students are digital natives. They often find these things interesting, because I've read some way, the new generation have to power down or switch off power when they enter the classroom, because outside they are very active with all kinds of electronic gadgets. Once they enter, nothing. Okay, so that's slowly changing, and we have changed a lot. We are ready to bring world into the classroom. So let's do this smart work. And smart work, to a certain extent, is the norm of education that is coming up, especially using the latest technologies. And the technologies that we have been using during the COVID times are going to stay, and new portfolios would come as far as teaching learning process is concerned. So one needs to do smart work rather than hard work. So wishing everyone smart teaching and learning, I conclude. Thank you. Thank you very much, and good evening.
Thank you so much, Dr. K. Gerbergasi. Actually, that was very interesting discussion. I am sure that all the audience have gained huge insight of today's webinar about ICT in education in the post-COVID scenario. What really caught my interest was when you mentioned about the COVID-19 scenario, which leads us into the metamorphosis of new process and practices in all spheres of human enterprise. That was actually very interesting. And another thing is that you mentioned a while ago that a good teacher is a person who can bring the whole world in the classroom. Okay, that was fascinating for me being a teacher. And another takeaway that I have tonight today is using technology successfully in the classroom is a mindset and not a skill set. That is something new that I should bear in mind. And another thing that the last thing that I'd like to share today is something that me, the audience, should ponder upon is that who do we become during the COVID-19? After this webinar, I think this is something that we should really think about. What have we become and who do we become during this COVID-19? So thank you so much, sir.
Thank
I
you.
should
Thank
say
you.
that was actually a jam pack of useful and interesting information. No doubt that the viewers have benefited from today's webinar, and the knowledge that you shared will be useful to our audience because you shared lots of interesting ideas to us. Thank you so much, sir, and we'll see you again later in the Q&A part of the program. For the meantime, you have to stay at the
Okay.
backstage. But
Okay, sure.
stay
Thank
with
you.
us because we'll be calling you again in the Q&A part of the program. Okay? Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to my dear audience. Let me remind you, don't forget to like, share, tag your friends, and write comments. Remember that your attachment encourages us to do better and provide you with our best service. Thank you for your support. We will give you the e-certificate link in the comment box, and if you encourage encounter any problem, you can collect your e-certificate direct from our website, that is www.eduigp.com. Then after collecting your e-certificate, don't forget to celebrate with IGP by your check-in. At this moment, we will now proceed to our live quiz competition, and afterwards will be the Q&A part of the program. I would like to encourage everyone to join the live quiz competition at slido.com. And our code is IGP quiz. Okay, we will be having our quiz competition after a short video. Okay, we have 29 participants now in our live quiz competition. Okay, and it's now up to 43 participants, and the number is increasing. Come on, guys, join the quiz competition. It will be fun. Okay, we have so many participants today. Go to www.slido.com, and our code for today's quiz competition is IGP quiz. Get ready now. We have now 52 participants. Hello to all the participants. Good luck to all of us. Okay. So now we have 59 participants. I'll be joining you in our quiz competition. We have now 62 participants. 64. Okay, get ready. We'll be starting any moment from now. Our first question is establishment of the REB or ICT in Education Department is blank of ICT in Education. Is it strengths or challenges? The correct answer is strength. And 57% of the participants answered correctly. On our leaderboard, we have Nico then as Miro as rank 1, and followed by Eugene D. Gabriel. And the third one is Denise Quinto Cerso. Congratulations. Our second question, one of the main purpose of utilizing ICT in education is it facilitate or spend more money? Okay, 100% of the participants answered facilitate. And that is the correct answer. Congratulations to all of us. On our leaderboard, we still have Dennis Quintas Sarso, followed by Eugene Gabriel, and then Elias Austria. How many characteristics are in ICT? Is it 7 or 10? The correct answer is 10, and only 39% of the participants answered correctly. On our leaderboard, we have Jessie Ray Milianena, followed by Darlene Ramos and Wendy T. Lanes. Next question, what kind of categories are in ICT? As subject, as administrative tool, as tool to support traditional subject. Okay, the correct answer is as tool to support traditional subjects. And only 53% of the participants get it correctly. On our leaderboard, we have Jessie Ray Nena, and then Carol Alvarez, followed by Kevin Brian Legondo. Next question. The vision for ICT education is maintain new categories of learners or improve quality, increase access, enhance diversity of learning methods. The correct answer is maintain new categories of learners, and only 1% of our participants get it correctly. On our leaderboard, we have Jessie Ray S. Milianana, followed by Kevin Brian Legorido, and then Wendy Lanes. Next question. In ICT, what does EFL stand for? English Football League or English as First Language? EFL stands for English as a First Language. 97% of the participants got it correctly. On our leaderboard, we still have Desiree Milianena, followed by Kevin Brian Legondo, and then we have Wendy Lanes. Next question. We are now on question number 7. What is ICT all about? What is the first keyword that sum up the purpose of using ICT in education? To control and monitor better or to connect? The correct answer is to connect. 73% of the participants get it correctly. On our leaderboard, we have Jessie Ray Milianena, followed by Kevin Brian Legondo, and then Carol Alvarez Cepillo. Question number 8. Which ICT tool in education allows effective collaboration? Is it computing devices or web conferencing? The correct answer is web conferencing, and 89% of the participants get it correctly. On our leaderboard, we still have Desiree Millanena, followed by Carol Alvarez Cepilla, and then followed by Joel Bernasor. Question number 9. Which one is not the component of technology in ICT? Is it radio or lecture? The answer is lecture. 60% of the participants get it correctly. On our leaderboard, we have Jessie Ray Millanena, and followed by Joel Bernasor, and then Carol Alvarez Pilio. And for our last question, what is the role of information technology in education? It offers countless benefits for education industry to inspire, motivate, encourage, and educate learners. The correct answer is it offers countless benefits for education industry. Only 34% of the participants get it correctly. And congratulations to our top 10 participants for today's live quiz competition. We have Carol Alvarez Cipilio, followed by Marie Gold Alog. Next is Jessie Ray Millanana. And then number 4, we have Ana Marie Joy Mercado. Number 5 is Tina Lynn V. Resurrection. Number 6 is Joel Bernazor. Number 7 is Melinda Civil Hispano. Number 8 is Esther Moguer. Number 9 is Kevin Brian Legordo. I hope I read that right. And last is Michelle Katakutan. Congratulations to our top 10 winners for today. You'll be receiving your quiz completion certificate in a little while. We will now move to the Q&A part of the program. You may start sending your questions now, please. But for the meantime, please enjoy watching this short video. Once again, let's welcome back our speaker for today's webinar. Thank you, sir. Welcome back to our
you.
Q&A part of the program. To our
Thank you.
participants, you may start sending your questions now. Okay, let's wait for them to encode their questions. So we have now our first question from Jata Ray Iman. Sabu. Good evening from Taguig City, University, Philippines. As a future educator, what will be the best practice to maintain a good assessment process through the use of ICT?
Okay, so the question is regarding assessment, right?
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay, so as far as assessment is concerned, we have computer adaptive tests, CATs, which are quite good, and maybe incorporation of artificial intelligence into testing systems will improve it much better. Now, mostly we are using this kind of we are using the ICTs for our teaching learning process. Assessment usually we have polls and other applications, but with the incorporation of maybe AI or artificial intelligence, I think we'll have a foolproof system of assessment which will be very effective, and we could think of an assessment where step by step progress is also possible. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that wonderful answer. Okay, our next question is from Ma'am Evelyn Waperi. What advice can you give to those teacher who has the difficulty in teaching ICT?
Okay, difficulty in teaching ICT is mainly because we may be uh, digital immigrants. So
Yes.
we may find it difficult to use the latest ICTs or incorporate latest ICTs into our teaching learning process. What I would suggest is uh, try to learn about technological aspects of teaching learning process and incorporate some of ICT tools in our teaching learning. Not don't As I say, don't run behind all the tools. That will be quite confusing and complicated. Better master a few ICT tools which can be effectively used in our teaching learning process, and of course, depending on the subject, because ICT, especially the different ICT tools that we use, may be different for different subjects. So try to get the best, try to identify the best and use them effectively. So that won't be a difficulty. Okay.
Yes, we don't need to introduce so much platforms or integrate so much ICT activities to the children. Just need to choose one which will be very useful to us. Do we have more questions? Okay, while waiting for the questions, I don't know if we have more questions. Okay, while waiting for them to send their question, I would like to ask, sir, what is the significance of ICT in education?
What is the significance of ICT in education? Oh, that's
Yes, that's
a
the
wonderful question, because these days many think, because see, we are all in the information era or industrial era 4.0. So the way that we people were taught, the senior teachers were taught, is taught the way that our children, digital natives, to be taught. So significance of ICTs, especially our children, in fact, uh, demand it, because things have changed a lot, and if you are not using ICTs in our teaching learning process, I think it will not be complete. So a blended learning situation where right use of ICTs at the right time, as I said, a human way, okay, where we should plan our teaching learning process uh, on ICTs. These days are quite important because our students are digital natives, and they have to be taught the way they want to be. Otherwise, I think things are going to be difficult. So ICTs to a certain extent is very relevant in our teaching and learning. So there's because almost all in all walks of life, people use it. People effectively use it for for their benefits. So why not we teachers and educators use it so that our students are benefited?
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
do agree with that. Okay, our next question is from George Tarazo. Good evening. How can I use ICT where mostly of my students don't have access to technology?
Okay, that is often a problem. Okay, see, we have different ICTs, for example, where you can use, if at all the students don't have it, especially there are such problems, especially in developing countries and undeveloped countries. To a certain extent, we can use the low tech, which is all available. For example, like TV, for example. See, in India, when all schools were closed and some of the regional medium schools couldn't use it, we use even TV, television, as a medium to reach our students. So, low tech, gadgets can be effectively used for teaching learning process, and maybe a PowerPoint presentation. We don't need the latest interactive multimedia boards. Uh, Ordinary PowerPoint presentation with a LCD projector is enough. And it all depends on the way that we use it and the creativity of the teacher who uses it. That's all. I think everyone can use available technologies because maybe it differs from country to country, state to state. So let's use whatever technology is available for effective teaching of, to teach our students effectively. That's what I think.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful answer. We have another question from Jatar J. Iman. In ICT, what will be the best application to be used to catch the attention of our students, especially in this blended learning process?
Okay, the question is what will be the best application? So here, naturally, it depends the availability of technologies. In blended learning, see in the law tech, some use only the PowerPoint and also the social media for teaching learning process. But some others are they some are even using artificial intelligence for teaching learning process. It all depends on the availability of technology and the demand of your subject. See the languages, as far as languages are concerned, and the way to teach them maybe is slightly different from teaching mathematics or teaching sciences. So it all depends on the availability and also the aptness of the application that we use.
Okay, our next question is from Farajoy Aguilar. Are some school subjects better suited for ICT integration than
Yeah,
other subjects?
that's a very tricky question, I would say, because some, for example, teaching language to a certain extent, there were questions. But nowadays, I think with the development of language theory of socio-cognitivism, being an English teacher, see, teaching uh, language through latest technologies and language lab is a very good method which can be followed. But maybe teaching of what you call classical languages like Latin maybe slightly different from that, and teaching of sciences, teaching of mathematics. Okay, so uh, every way we can use ICT effectively, but it needs, of course, creativity and also a kind of critical thinking applied to it. So we cannot say that one subject can be in one subject ICT can be used more effectively than the other. It all depends on the creativity and the readiness of the teacher.
Okay, let's see if we still have questions. I can see here, yes, we have the question from Marife Bitimbang. How can parents balance the increasing compulsive use of electronic device during this pandemic period?
Oh, that's also a very tricky question. How can parents balance the increasing compulsive use of electronic device? And again, some of the students at least may be using for their personal purposes, for chatting and also for playing, etc. This is a very tricky question that the parents will have to monitor the students, okay, at all levels, and too much use of electronic devices will also affect their health, especially their eyesight, and there'll be a lot of problems coming up. So it's my advice, especially that parents monitor and keep a kind of balance as far as the use of these electronic gadgets are concerned. We cannot just take away the gadgets from them, but a judicious use of gadgets is a must. So the students should be trained, they should be instructed, and they should be properly monitored for the judicious use of these kind of electronic gadgets, which have almost become part of their life.
Okay, another question. Sir, what are the consequences of the students being digital natives and teacher as digital immigrants?
That's a wonderful question. See, students, when they are digital natives, they are quite fast in learning these things, and uh, teachers may be a bit reluctant just because they are digital immigrants. But in a way, digital immigrants can also cope up with the digitization, and consequences are sometimes teachers become reluctant to use the technologies because students are in a better position to use it, or they know better. So such problems are there, but I think our teachers are managing quite well. We can even seek the help of students, especially maybe in the classroom when there are technological glitches. So they feel important. At the same time, things are done in a proper way. That's it, sir.
Okay, let's see if we still have questions. I think this will be our last question.
Yes.
As an English teacher, sir, how can you keep our students enjoy while learning by the use of technology?
Yeah, see, that's a very good question. See, we have a lot of language games, virtual language games, which can help students, or which motivate students. At the same time, learning outcome is better. We can also use the latest technologies maybe for interaction, because the latest theories in English or the language studies say that interacting with others would better our language skills. There are a lot of opportunities and a lot of gadgets and a lot of applications which would help us to make our students interact with the native speakers and people like that. So this all becomes quite interesting for the students when they interact with others, than passive teaching of language in the classroom. I think this would be really interesting for the students, and can also make use of language games which are quite motivating, and which has very good learning outcomes. That's it.
Well, that completes the Q&A part of our program for today. To all the participants who actively participated in our Q&A part, thank you so much for all your
And hello, ma'am.
questions.
I'm really happy because I've been doing a lot of webinars these days. But this is one webinar where we had so many questions asked. There was true
Yes.
interaction. Otherwise,
Yes.
just 2 or 3 questions or 4 questions will be maximum. But this is a wonderful, and I thank all the participants for putting in so many queries and making this webinar so successful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Wonderful.
I agree with you with that. I agree, sir. So I would like to thank all the participants who actively participated in our Q&A part. Thank you so much for your questions, and we hope that you have gained understanding of today's webinar. And to our speaker, again, thank you so much for gracing our event today.
Thank you.
Dr. Vargazi, thank you for
Thank you.
being part of
Thank
our
you.
webinar. We are so happy to have you here in IGP, and we hope to see you again in our future webinar.
Sure, sure. 100%.
Yes. Okay, that's great. Thank you, sir, for all the knowledge that you have shared tonight. Thank you for your marvelous presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much for, and you did your job in a wonderful way, ma'am. Wonderfully coordinated and anchored the program. Thank you. Thank you very much. And also, my dear participants, you did a good job. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you so much to our speaker for today, Associate Professor Dr. KJ Varghese. Thank you for gracing our event for today. And our code for today is IGP IGP 3865. Remember, without code, no one is eligible for certificate. With code, you can claim your certificate anytime. Without an account on our website, you can visit, but you cannot do anything functional. Our today's program name is ICT in Education in the Post-COVID Scenario. And our date today is February 21. Again, our code for today is IGP 3865. This has been a very rewarding day for all of us because of our lively and enthusiastic speaker. To my fellow knowledge seekers, I would like to thank all of you for attending today's session. Let me thank all of you for being so patient and attentive throughout the webinar. Hopefully, you have gained something new today that will be useful in your life. The beautiful about learning is nobody can take it away from you. If you have learned something new or we have been helpful to you, even just in a little bit, please leave a review on our page. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Please spread the information about IGP to your friends. Don't forget to collect your e-certificate after the session and give a check-in with IGP. You may collect it from the website or through the link mentioned below. Our code for today is IGP3865. To collect your e-certificate, please go to www.eduigp.com. Make sure to log in using your account, or if you are just new, please create an account first, then log in using your account, then click free webinars. Choose today's webinar date and title. Click the tab or the bar enroll now. And once you get enrolled, you can enter the code for today, that is IGP 3865. Then click the bar, get your certificate. Then once you have clicked that, your certificate will be auto downloaded to your device. Remember, our code for today is IGP 3865. Well, that concludes our program for today. That's all for today. To all the IGP Free International webinar participants, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for the active participation. Thank you for your heartwarming messages. Remember, IGP is always here to render you with our best service. And at this point, I would like to congratulate the whole team IGP for another successful live webinar. We hope to see you all again in our next webinars. All things work together for good to those who love God and to those who are called according to His purpose. Thank you so much. Stay happy and stay safe. Again, this has been your host, Maribeth, from the Philippines, signing off. To God be the glory. Bye, everyone.